All right, we are live. 1 second here. Super excited to be doing this. And we're good. All right, so we are live in Tom the Trainer's Tribe for my weekly Wednesday Q&As, where I just allow the members of my free Facebook group, Tom the Trainer's Tribe, to ask questions, and I go in and I give my honest opinion and feedback, ways to help the people within the tribe, and just provide them with as many resources or my opinions as possible to help with their fitness goals. So if you're watching this in Tom the Trainer's Tribe, or anywhere else for that matter, do me a favor, comment live, let me know that you're here. And if you're catching it afterwards, comment replay. So live in the tribe on Wednesdays is, as I mentioned, a free Q&A. And then what I do is I take those Q&As and I upload them to my Tom the Trainer Fitness podcast so that you can listen to them at your convenience if you aren't able to catch the actual live recordings. So the link to subscribe, pardon me, to the podcast is in the description. And obviously, if you're listening to this on the podcast, check the link in the description of the episode to join Tom the Trainer's Tribe. So we're going to get right into it. Want to make sure that some people are here first and foremost. And we are going to start taking questions. Always takes a minute for me to find the post because Tom the Trainer's Tribe is bumping, and there's always lots of posts in there to find the questions. So if you are waiting for me to find the post, just do me a favor. You can ask a question in the live training here, and I'll answer those questions for people as well at the end if I have time to get to them. Holy, the tribe is pumping. So having a hard time finding the post. Well, all right, let's do this. We got it. Okay. All right. Everybody's stoked to be here. Everybody feels as though they're going to get some value. Only got one person watching right now. What's up, everybody? Okay. Ask questions in the live feeds on my Instagram, Facebook profile, in Tom the Trainer's Tribe, and I'll answer those questions as well. I'll try to circle back to them if I have time. So, first question here is from Jared, and it's in regards to adding creatine into your daily supplements. And this is a great question. So, I think everybody knows, if you're in the tribe and if you've been watching these lives for long, that I am somebody who really prioritizes like whole foods and diet to get what you need out of your nutrition to get to your goals. And I feel as though the supplements are like, yeah, like supplements can have an impact, but the impact that they will have is like minimal at best and like totally negligible if like you're negligent with your nutrition, right? But Jared's a client. Jared's absolutely been crushing it. He's got his nutrition, he's got his training, his water, his everything literally dialed. Going to be doing a transformation post for Jared soon, as soon as I have time to put it all together, because he absolutely crushed it and lost 20 pounds in 12 weeks. So he's got all that stuff locked in. So for somebody like Jared, who's already got good nutrition and good other habits, I don't see any reason why not to add creatine into your daily supplements. It's highly researched. It has positive effects. It also helps with like water retention, and water is extremely important in our body for many, many reasons, right? Um, when it comes to creatine, like I personally don't worry about loading it and trying to like take large amounts of creatine in the beginning stages of starting to take it. I don't think it's necessary to load it. I think like you will get that like saturation per se upon just taking it regularly and taking 5 grams per day. So taking 5 grams per day is more than enough. And also, like, don't worry about it if you miss a day. Like, if you miss a day here and there, like, it's not a big deal. I remember a time like back in the day when I was like young. I'll just say I was like young and dumb because, like, let's be honest, like, you know, we didn't know anything when we were young, right? Like, probably before we were 20. Like, I think we knew like how to walk to school and like probably use the bathroom, and like beyond that, like our life experience was pretty minimal. So with that, like my experience with this stuff was pretty minimal at best. And when I was at that age, I was like trying to figure things out. And like I remember like thinking like all my gains were gonna disappear. It's like, oh my God, I missed my serving of creatine today. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? It's not a big deal if you miss a serving. Just take it the next day kind of thing, right? But I think it's definitely a beneficial supplement to take when you have all those other things dialed in and on point. And I don't see any reason why not to. I just feel as though that like creatine and other supplements, like many supplements in general, just seem to be placed, like the priority placement of them seems to be confused because if your diet sucks and you're 25% body fat as a man and you're not sleeping well and your training's not consistent, then like creatine's not going to get you jacked. Like, don't waste your time, don't waste your money, place your efforts towards things that are going to provide you with a bigger impact. But if you're placing your efforts towards those things that provide the best impact, then yeah, go ahead, add creatine. Having said that, it's extremely affordable and like it can't hurt, I guess I would say, but just make sure that you're placing it in the right list of priorities. That and any supplement. And if anybody wants to, I'm thinking about doing a podcast episode about like the only supplements that you should ever use and focus on. Creatine is going to be one of them. If anybody watching, pardon me, wants to listen to an episode on that topic, just say supplement podcast in the chat. Okay. So next up, Damon is asking, what's a good lower abdominal and oblique workout that isn't hard on your lower back? So I've talked about this like multiple times. Damon's new to the tribe. I've talked about this multiple times. And like when training your core, and listen to other episodes of the podcast, Damon, like shameless plug here, and anybody listening to this now, like go check Tom the Trainer Fitness on Spotify or Apple or any of your podcast providers and start binging out on them. I'm pretty sure that in the description of one of the episodes I talk about this. So I won't go into like crazy detail just because I've done so on multiple other episodes and multiple other lives. But to simplify it is like look at exercises where your spine isn't loaded through flexion or extension. And flexion is when your shoulders are flexing towards or like coming towards your hips, say like in a crunch. An extension is when your spine is bending in the opposite direction. So side planks for obliques are going to be amazing, as well as Copenhagen planks are going to be amazing for your obliques. Also, though, like you can train your obliques by executing exercises properly that create a high demand on core stability. So, like, for example, when you're doing a lunge, the stability in a lunge comes from your obliques. So, it's important to try to say for example, if you have a lunge, you're doing a lunge and you have like one dumbbell in your hand, and that dumbbell is on the same side as the leg of which you're stepping back with, then like just slightly kind of try to like reach downward with that dumbbell a little bit to flex your obliques in the lunge. You'll do better lunges, you'll lift more weight on lunges, you'll have a higher return on the impacts of which the lunges are going to have on your legs, probably going to have less knee pain, and you're going to train your obliques at the same time. So I categorize exercises by looking at where the core stability comes from, and a lunge or variations of a lunge, like say a Bulgarian split squat, are phenomenal for your obliques. And then when it comes to lower abdominals, I'm a really, really big fan of hanging leg raises. And you can do that with a bent knee or straight legs. And the focus on that is when you're hanging, you are trying to like draw your belly button into your spine as hard as you can. And you could even like hold at the top and stuff. That's an advanced tactic. And then like another cool exercise that I like to do for lower abdominals is going in like a glute ham raise machine, which is a machine in the gym that you lock your legs into. And then there's a pad. If you were lying out with your legs locked in and your feet locked in and in the foot holders, there's a pad in and around your hip area, depending on how you set the machine up. And you could do like crunches off of that. And same thing, like drawing your belly button into your spine extremely hard while doing so. It's a badass exercise, but it's really good. And the thing I like about that exercise as well is it'll stretch out your hip flexors at the same time, make your hip flexors stronger in length. And we all have tight hip flexors, most of us anyways. 99.5% of us probably. So if you can train your lower abdominals while strengthening your hip flexors in length, your hip flexors will not be short and tight as often. Because the reason your hip flexors are short and tight is because your central nervous system is like two things. Your central nervous system is not feeling as though that it needs that length in the tissue to be able to maneuver through the daily like activities or like the daily demands that are being created on those tissues. So your body tries to be efficient, and if it doesn't have to use them in length, it just will stop using them in length. But then also if they're weak in length, your central nervous system will block that position through artificial, I don't want to say artificial tension, because obviously the tension is real, but it'll create tension in those muscles because it views the weakness in length as like vulnerability. So it tries to avoid that as like, a survival mechanism, as a mechanism to avoid injury, etc. But then generally what that does in turn is increase the risks of low back injury, right? Was that helpful, everybody? I know it wasn't absolutely direct, but obviously you can listen to other episodes of the podcast for that. And then there was definitely some tips in there that will work as well. Okay, so the next question here is from Dylan. Dylan wants to know some tips for getting started into health and fitness, working towards some fitness goals after being away from it for a while, right? I actually love this question because I believe a big reason why people fail when they are trying to like re-implement like behaviors that they were doing in the past that they failed to stay consistent on is to probably, and I literally just finished writing the podcast for this, so it's going to be up as well. It's going to be up on Monday, the February 5th, is about like recognizing what caused for you to fail the last time you did it, the last time that you were executing those behaviors, and then start recognizing the things that caused for you to fail and like putting a plan in place or recognizing the things that you can do differently to avoid that failure from occurring again. Because like there's that popular saying of like success leaves clues. Absolutely it does. Successful habits and behaviors and the things that people like successful people are doing, there's clues in what they're doing to be successful. But like failure leaves even bigger clues. Failure leaves even probably like more powerful clues for you as an individual because you're not trying to lean on habits and behaviors of others, which do have value, but you're more hyper focusing on the habits and behaviors that you were doing in the past that were succeeding and then trying to recognize the failure and the mechanism of failure and then recognizing that and making sure that if that thing ever happens again you avoid it because you've got a solid plan in place because you took into consideration that thing that's likely going to happen again and you've recognized the one way to avoid that from setting you back, right? So that's huge. And there's a whole podcast episode coming up on that. It's called I'm not 100% sure what the actual title of it will be right now, but basically the purpose of the podcast is all about like changing behaviors, right? Changing behaviors and sticking to them that last. So that's key. And then also, I think as well, like, you know, it's important to not try to take on too much all at once. And I believe it's important to stack wins and stack little wins and then look at like that popular saying of like consistency compounds, right? So start finding like little wins that you can stack. Okay. Maybe that's like going to the gym 3 days per week and you're able to do that and you start stacking that win. And then after that, you can start, compounding habits and being like, okay, cool. I was able to go to the gym for 3 days last week and I've been doing that really well. Awesome. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hone in on my diet. And when I hone in on my diet, I'm going to do that consistently for a period of time. Okay, great. I've nailed those things down. What's the next habit that I can focus on that's going to yield me an impact on my success? Okay, great. I'm going to start focusing on my sleep, whatever it may be, right? Stack little wins because like your subconscious, when you're stacking wins, tells you that you're a winner and gives you confidence in doing more things, gives you confidence that you're going to be successful when you try to do things because you didn't place yourself in a position of overwhelm of trying to do more than you can manage in the beginning. Because then when you fail, all you're doing is you're telling yourself subconsciously that you're not a winner, that you're a failure and you can't, right? But you start stacking wins, you start mentally telling yourself, I can. And I think that's huge. I think it's absolutely huge, right? Stack little wins, right? And then I mean, obviously, like the other thing as well, Dylan, is like hire a coach, right? Like make a decision to hire somebody who knows how to put a plan in place for you that can be easily executed, right? And it's sustainable and it works and it simplifies things. And that's how you fast track results. Okay. Fast track results, hire an expert, hire somebody who knows more than you do and ask them what to do and then listen to them and do it. Right. And I think like if anybody's listened to my high performance habits that'll change your life and my story, episode number 1 of the podcast, knows that I'm absolutely huge on that. Absolutely huge on that. I didn't know how to start a podcast. I hired a podcast coach. He knows how to start a podcast. I would have never started the podcast because I literally would have been overwhelmed because I would have had no idea where to start. Right. So that's huge. Hire help. Right. Hiring help is going to give you the fastest results and the most likelihood of success. Okay. If you're watching this on Instagram, I'm just going to check and see if there's any comments on there. And I'm going to peace out. If you haven't checked out Tom the Trainer's Tribe in the bio, check the link and join. And I'm going to peace out there. Going to do the same thing on YouTube, everybody.